You're listening to the Astrology Hub podcast, practical wisdom for living your life on purpose. Hi there, my name's Amanda Walsh, and I'm the founder of Astrology Hub, and it is so wonderful to be here with you today. We have a really special episode for you featuring one of our very favorite astrologers, David Cochrane. David specializes in a really exciting type of astrology called vibrational astrology. You may have heard of it. If not, you're going to learn about it here today. He has interviewed and consulted over 10,000 people. So he's really a pioneer in the research that's happening around astrology. He has actually developed the system of astrology, which has evolved and is known today as vibrational astrology. He's a popular speaker at international astrology conferences. He's written 2 books. He's the past president of the International Society for Astrological Research. He is also the 2018 winner of the prestigious Regulus Award for Discovery, Innovation, and Research. He's co-founder of the Avalon School of Astrology and the lead programmer for 2 of the leading astrology software companies, Cosmic Pattern Software and Matrix Software. David has a master's degree in research and evaluation methodology. He works with academics, business people, and professionals around the world on developing astrological products and services and research projects. And he is truly, truly a treasure to all of us in the astrological community. Donna, what was your favorite part of this episode?
I must say, David is one of my favorite astrologers. And he's been doing astrology pretty much as long as I've been alive, which says something. The amount of knowledge that he has, just having a conversation with him, is always extraordinary. But I think what inspires me the most about vibrational astrology is how it taps into the cutting edge of science and what scientists are saying about the interplay between consciousness and how creation actually occurs. How do we get here? And how astrology plays a part in that story. And so just hearing that cosmic vision gives me so much comfort that we are tied into something bigger than ourselves with astrology. And it works from not just the astrological perspective, but also the perspective of science. It seems very unifying to me.
That's a great word to describe David in general, unified. I mean, he brings so many different facets to the table and to the conversation around astrology. So I think you're going to love it. One of my favorite parts was when we started talking about Yogananda and the idea of, are we meant to transcend our chart in astrology, or are we meant to express it fully? And David had such an interesting perspective that he shared with us around that. So I think you guys are going to love this one. And David is our next Inner Circle guide. So David and Giselle Terry. Giselle was featured on episode 007 a couple weeks ago. They are co-teaching this month in the Inner Circle, and we are in our special New Year enrollment period still. So for those of you that are interested in being a part of these astrological conversations, going deeper, taking your studies deeper, being in community with people, learning about the new and the full moon every single month in detail, and learning a new astrological tool every month, the Inner Circle may be a great place for you to explore. You can join us now. It's $27 a month, and there is no contract or agreement to join. So you could hop in, check out Giselle and David's month, and see if it's right for you. And right now is the perfect time to do it because we are offering over $400 in bonus speaker gifts from all of the 2019 astrologers who will be our guides throughout 2019, as well as the recordings to the 2019 Forecast Marathon. So when you join today, you get all of these special bonuses during this New Year enrollment period. The New Year enrollment period closes on January 31st. So now's the time. Hop in. You can just go to astrologyhub.com/inner circle, or you can check the link in the show notes. Both options are available to you. So we are now going to head on over to our conversation with David. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll catch you when it's over.
Well, David, you know, I'm always so happy to get a chance to talk to you. You are one of my personal favorite astrologers. Of course, all of our astrologers are our favorites, right? But you are one of the few astrologers practicing today who regularly reaches across the aisle, so to speak, and takes time to talk to skeptics and academics and astronomers and people who may not naturally believe in astrology. Why do you think that's so important?
Hey, Donna. It's just great to be here with you. You know, we always have a great time together. Why is it so important? Because that's probably most of the world. We all live in our little circle of friends, which is a good thing. We should have our nice circle of friends. But, when you navigate around the universities and the professional world, people are not using astrology. They're not thinking about astrology. Their impression of astrology is what they get from the sun sign. Well, actually, it's more than that now from the internet, but it's still rather light, pretty far removed from the clear things that people want in the business world and the technology world. They're trying to make decisions. They're trying to decide how to market things, how to develop things, where to go, what to do. They're looking for concrete information. And astrology has not presented itself as something that's trustworthy and consistent. But it is trustworthy and consistent if you develop it properly and investigate the right things. So I just think it's an important thing to communicate. I'm not communicating with the mainstream and the upper academic and the upper business world because I want to prove something to them, but just because I think it's useful for them. When you have something that can help people, you want to help them. And so I think it's important because we have a valuable tool. And when they learn about it and they see what they can do with it and that there is research support and this is real stuff, they get excited, they can use it, and everybody benefits.
David, why do you think people are so disconnected from astrology? I mean, astrology at one point in human history was pretty core and central to a lot of different cultures. Why do you think we've come so far away from it?
Well, Amanda, that's the big question, isn't it? I think the reason we've gone away from it is the way we understand things. In the beginning in the 20th century and the 21st century, we've become a nation that's replaced religion or mythology with science. Now everything seems to be based on facts and information and data. So if you're going to get a medical treatment, then supposedly it's been confirmed by universities and research studies. Well, we know there's a lot of money that corrupts the pharmaceutical industry and so on, but at least the ideal is that things are based on data and information, not so much on trust in heritage or trust in individuals. And I think that's the big reason, because the universities, which in a way are like the Catholic Church was to people in the Middle Ages. I mean, they're like the power center of what's real and not real, is that astrologers have not communicated to them that they've really found something. It all seems to be personal opinion and, personal experience. But we've gone beyond that in this vibrational astrology area that I specialize in. We do that kind of research. We validate things, and that's why it communicates directly. So bottom line, I think astrology's fallen out of favor because we're not speaking the language of the universities. The language of the university is show me what you got, man, and not just your personal experience, but show me the data. It's like in the movie, show me the money, right? Show me the data.
And that's something you're focused on, right? The actual research and proving with data that there are reliable outcomes that we can show, correct?
Absolutely. Big time. And the reason for it is this. I'm not trying to prove something. A lot of times when you say you're doing research, people immediately say, at least in the astrology community, oh, so you're trying to prove it. No, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm trying to understand. Because if I look at the chart of 3 people with Gemini in their chart, a lot of Gemini, say their sun and moon is Gemini, and they're talking quickly and they're like butterflies, social butterflies. And I think to myself, oh my God, this stuff really works. Well, I find that by going through the databases, finding the people that have the most Gemini, it helps inform me. I mean, I want to know how astrology works. And I find that the research methods help me understand astrology. A side effect of that is it also helps me communicate with the professional world and the academic world.
Hey, how do you think astrology works?
Oh, okay. Well, I've got an elaborate description. You guys know I've made over 300 YouTube videos, and one of them is called A New Theoretical Framework for Astrology. And I explain how astrology works. I think astrology works by vibration, or you could call it frequency. It works by structures in space, in a higher dimensional space. I think astrology is real. I think it really works. I think it's not just divination. I think it's also not just mythology and imagery. I think the mythology, the imagery, the Jungian archetypes are born out of real things. I mean, they're as real as quantum physics, which is not real by human standards, but they're real mathematical models. So astrology works the same way everything else works, by vibration, frequency, fractal realities, things repeating from higher levels to lower levels. And when we're looking at the astrology chart, we're actually doing a form of physics and metaphysics. We're seeing the fractal nature of reality. We're looking into a sacred geometry. We call it sacred because it's a geometry that's hidden behind the visible world. It's a beautiful, intricate tapestry of frequencies, vibrations, and we can see into this hidden world the same way a physicist or a chemist sees into a hidden world that's behind what we see with our eyes. That's what we're doing with astrology. And I think it's real, and it works by vibration, frequency, and very, very similar to the way string theory and other theories in physics work.
David, one of the things that's astounded me as I've gone through my time at Astrology Hub is how amazingly intelligent astrologers are and actually have to be in order to practice what they're practicing, especially the ones that we work with who are, practicing at very high levels and have been studying this, for most of their life. And so I think one of the challenges that astrology has is that it is complex and nuanced and deep and rich and does require a high level of intelligence to understand and practice. And so, it's what you just explained. Most people will not get that, but our audience, a very intelligent audience, will be able to follow with you. And I also have seen that younger generations seem to either inherently feel connected to it and understand that it works. They resonate with the information. They may not be able to explain it the way you just did, but there seems to be a movement of younger people who kind of just get it, and you don't have to actually explain it. They're just looking for the scientific background to actually understand what they already know. Have you seen that too?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everything you said, I'm right on the same page with you. And you've covered a few things here. I want to reflect on a few of them. First of all, the high level of people in astrology. It's amazing. I just came back from a Vedic conference this weekend in Sedona. I'm going to a conference every 2 or 3 months, and one of the reasons I go is to interact with the incredibly talented and gifted, intelligent and sensitive people. We have people like historians who dig into things, people who speak ancient languages, translating things. We have psychologists, therapists, and intuitives and psychics and clairvoyants, people using, aura machines and all kinds of other things. There's so many avenues into this. So whether someone is trained in math and physics or psychology or metaphysics or is clairvoyant, all of these things are important tools for us to make progress in astrology. So it's like the old story from India about looking at the elephant and each person just feels one part of it. So, those people who are not scientifically oriented, which is one hat that I wear, they are extremely important as well. Just the intuitive understanding, the understanding of people, the sensitivity, all these things play into it very much. And the other thing is, who is getting excited about astrology these days? Well, in the world of astrology that I'm in, with what we call vibrational astrology, where we've dug into this deeper level and we've confirmed that these things work, it's primarily young people. And by young, I would say under 40, very often under 30. The older astrologers, like people in their 50s and 60s, they're interested, they're fascinated, they're not really digging into it as much as people under 40 who may or may not have a direct interest in astrology. The other group of people that are interested, two other groups, are the professors and the graduate students. And the other group are business people, because they want something that works. They watch the videos, they read the information, they hear about this, and they say, wow, I can use this. This is practical stuff. So those are the three groups that I experience coming into our world in large numbers. Anybody young, they're awake. They grow up with cell phones and other electronic magic all around them. They grow up more open-minded about the mysteries of the universe. They grew up hearing about quantum theory and relativity and all the fun movies. Where somebody who's old like me who grew up being indoctrinated into a mechanistic worldview, and we had to kind of extract ourselves out of that or evolve out of it. But the kids today, I don't think, are brainwashed into being told the world is all a big machine. And so they understand that life is fascinating and that science and magic and science and metaphysics, science and religion and spirituality are all parts of one thing. So yes, I'm with the young people these days more than people my own age.
Well, and there are people in your age group too that are, I think of you all as visionaries and like wayfinders, because we actually need the experience and the wisdom that's come with the additional years you've had on this earth in this lifetime. And so it is really beautiful when the two come together, and that's one of the things I love about Astrology Hub is the many different generations that are represented and the richness of the conversation that can be had from that place.
That is such a wonderfully beautiful statement. So true and so important. We actually need this richness. The young people come in innocent, and an innocent mind can see things, feel things, experience things that somebody who's gone over and over it, won't be awake to. And the experienced people like myself who've put in, day out for decades, over and over, going through every nook and cranny and all of our experiences, that needs to be honored and respected and learned from. So, we need each other. And I'm learning from all of the young, bright minds just as they are learning from me. It's the alchemy happens, the magic happens through that interfacing.
Now, David, I know that you also have a very profoundly personal spiritual practice of your own. And you mentioned that astrology is holistic in the sense that it blends science and spirituality. Can you talk a little bit about how your spirituality has been informed by your practice of astrology?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, Donna. And it's something I've kept quiet for many, many decades, because sometimes when people mention their own particular spiritual path, we run into these like little wars that happen between different religions, or people think you're bragging or you're trying to impose something. I think that those kinds of factions and little cliques are not so prominent anymore. And I feel more comfortable sharing a little bit about my own personal journey. It's just it's just the path that I've been on. So back in 1972, when I finished my bachelor's degree, I was interested in meditation and yoga, and I started becoming vegetarian and all those things. And I went into the University of Florida library and went into the spirituality section for change. I often go to the math and science section. And I touched a book, and I felt a little electric shock in my finger when I touched the book. And I actually thought there was like a loose wire or something. And I kind of moved the book around so I could see what was wrong there and maybe tell the librarian that there's something wrong with the electricity. But there was nothing. It was just some impact from the book. And I opened the book up, and it was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And I took that book, sat down at a little table, and I don't know how many hours went by. All I know, it was dark out by the time I finally put the book back on the shelf. I was so absorbed in it. I was so thrilled by it. I was so fascinated by it. I was so charged by it that I just knew that this was my way. This was my spiritual practice. And then a few days later, I went to the health food store to get some lunch, and I was really kind of homeless at the time. I had just finished my bachelor's degree. I was kind of hanging out for the summer before I would continue my master's and PhD program. And somebody said, "What are you doing?" and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they took me out to this land, which I ended up living on for 7 or 8 years, and a little bit outside of Gainesville, Florida. And I went to somebody's house who was going to build a temple there, and a big picture of Paramahansa Yogananda on the wall as I entered the building. So, yeah, my path has been the Kriya Yoga practice of Paramahansa Yogananda. I chant Vedic chants. I eat Indian music. I listen to Vedic music. I'm kind of one of these New Age people who's very influenced by the Indian lifestyle. And that's the particular lineage that I follow. And it's also tied in with the astrology, because I started into astrology when I was about 19 or 20, when I found out that Carl Jung practiced astrology, and I thought I was going to become a Jungian psychologist at the time. And then Yogananda's guru, Sri Yukteswar, was an astrologer, and that I just ended up continuing with the astrology.
David, Yogananda, he actually says some really profound things about astrology. Can you tell us what those things are?
Yes. I think that the way Yogananda saw astrology was in terms of how it was presented to him. And the way it was presented to him is not the way that I understand astrology. So in the way that astrology was presented to Yogananda, it was presented as something that defines your life, defines what will happen. It's a little more fatalistic, a little more deterministic in the way that astrology was practiced and understood and presented to him. Yogananda did not study astrology, but his guru did. And Yogananda's approach to astrology is that we need to transcend those material limits. But I do not understand astrology in that way. I have a completely different conceptualization of what astrology is. So one thing that Yogananda emphasizes is not to imitate your teacher, whether it's just a music teacher, math teacher, astrology teacher, spiritual teacher, your guru. All these gurus are important, is not to imitate them and copy them and just believe everything that they say is true. Yogananda tells the story of a guru who says to his disciples, do not repeat what I say. And the disciples are so in love, enamored of their guru, they repeat him and say, do not repeat what I say. And the guru says, you're driving me crazy. It's a silly story. and his students say, you're driving me crazy. And he says, I'm going nuts. I'm going to jump out of the window. And they say, I'm going nuts. I'm going to jump out of the window. The guru jumps out of the window. They all jump out of the window and they all, I guess, die or something. So the point is, it's a silly story, but the point is, I don't just repeat what Yogananda says, and my views of astrology are a little bit different from how he perceived it, because astrology has changed and evolved.
Yeah, I do remember something about it's an important step in our understanding, but then the idea is to transcend.
Yes. Their idea at the time was to transcend astrology, but actually astrology is not something to transcend, and astrology does not work on a material level. And this, I'm going to try to explain this without getting to a lot of fancy physics terms, but astrology works from a spiritual dimension. Astrology is our path. It's our guide. It shows the way to evolve. We don't want to transcend astrology. We want to attune to it because it's the vehicle that leads us to greater awareness and what we would call in India moksha. So it's not something to fight or transcend. It's a vehicle. So the astrology chart helps empower you in your everyday world to give you fulfillment, direction. And as you attune to your astrology chart, you feel joy, you feel bliss, you feel connectedness, you feel you're part of the universe, you feel your right way for you. So yeah, it's a different idea than what astrology was understood of at the time.
Oh, that's so beautiful, David. It's just such an inspiring image that an astrology chart can be reflective of one's unique path, one's very, very individual path, which my gut feeling has to do with what you're talking about when you speak about vibrational astrology, that it's very, very unique. So maybe this is the time when you can talk a little bit about what vibrational astrology is.
Yeah, let me say a little bit about vibrational astrology. But first, let me just wrap up one point we're talking about. When I began studying astrology deeply in the 70s and continuing right up until today, I found that the people who do not fit the potential of their chart are the people that are struggling to find their way in life. The people, when I studied the charts of great people in the arts and sciences who found their way, and even the spiritual teachers, they actually match the chart better. So rather than looking like as you advance in your inner development or outer development, you're contradicting the chart, people fit it better. Yogananda himself, you look at his chart and you see Yogananda. So it's a matter of attuning to the energies rather than going against them. Now, talk about VA. This is like grandma talking about her grandkids. You have a few days, I can talk about VA forever. This is the most exciting thing in astrology for me personally, is the vibrational astrology, is that those of us who are deeply involved in vibrational astrology are very confident that we're on track to a form of astrology that works in every way. It works in a personal consultation. It works for emotional healing. It works for career placement. It works when you study it with research studies, with control groups and statistics and all that kind of stuff. So we have increasing evidence that vibrational astrology just simply works in so many ways. We have one of the people I will be joining with is Giselle Terry in our presentation for Astrology Hub, and she's a psychotherapist, and she uses it with her clients, and the consistent ways that you see these vibrational patterns in people that have anxiety disorders or anorexia or depression. I'll give you a simple example. 11 vibration. What we do is we look at when the planets in the sky are 11ths of a circle from each other. Well, without diagrams, maybe a little difficult to explain, but it's just 11ths of a circle. That's what, 32 or 33 degree multiples. Anyway, when the planets are aligned in these particular relationships, it makes the person a little off-center, a little out of the norm. They're singing to the beat of a different drummer. And it can lead to innovation. It can lead to some kind of eccentricities that help move things into new directions, but it's very unstable. All of the people who are clients of Giselle, who we have a birth data for, have these very strong 11 vibrations with the planets that describe their problems. So this is a breakthrough, that there's other levels and dimensions of astrology beyond the signs and the houses, the usual aspects, the rulers. There's so many ideas in astrology, but these simple vibrations, to us, it's very, very clear that they describe what's going on with a person more directly and more clearly. And we can conduct the research. We are conducting the research that validates it.
Okay, so David, you mentioned that you will be doing a presentation for us here at Astrology Hub, and we are very, very excited about that. David and Giselle, so the therapist that he just spoke about, are both going to be our astrologer guides for the next lunar cycle for the inner circle. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you and Giselle will be teaching as part of your inner circle month?
Yes. What we can do with vibrational astrology is we can see the changing vibrations week by week, month by month. We can see the changing trends that will happen. So with political trends, we'll have a very good idea of who will win an election, or at least who will do better than expected, what the mood is. So, for example, in the last election in the United States, I had predicted that Bernie Sanders would do much better than expected. He did much better than expected. I predicted that Donald Trump would do much, much, much better than expected. He did much, much better than expected. So regardless of what your political point of view is, I think we can all agree that Sanders and Trump did much better than expected. That was very clear from the changing vibrations, and I can explain exactly what those vibrations were if you're interested. But we can follow this month by month. We can see what kind of tensions, what kind of issues. It also affects fashion and what kind of movies and social events are likely to be popular that catch the mood of the times. And in the months that Giselle and I are making our presentation in February, there is a strong 7 vibration, very, very strong 7 vibration. And the pattern is set by Saturn and Uranus. They are in this very tight 7 vibration. And in our presentations in February, we'll show it to you. We'll share our screen. We'll show you what these patterns are. And what it does, because of the specific planets involved, it's a time of inner transformation. It happens to be something that's hard to measure and see in the outer world, although there will be a lot of tension in the air. And I'll talk more specifically about how that'll manifest in the presentation. But so what we're going to do is we're going to share with you what these vibrations are, the strong 7 vibration, and what you need to do to attune with it. And there's a big tendency for people to get into arguments, for a lot of tension, a lot of stress. You know, the work hours just seem too long. Your boss is on your back all the time. there's a lot of stress in the air, but there's a way to get out of it and to move beyond it and to heal it. And we'll be talking about how to do that. So we use this vibrational analysis all the time for everything.
Well, and I truly believe the energies are benevolent. So it's not like all this tension and stress and overwhelm and everything would just be happening to torture us, right? If we know how to work with it, it actually can be used to our benefit.
Absolutely. I was going to talk about this, but I don't want to cover, we can't cover the entire presentation that we'll be doing in February, but that's exactly the point. What Saturn and Uranus are doing, they're not trying to get us into feeling stressed out and having all these difficulties. What they're actually doing in this 7 vibration is they're questioning what you're doing in your daily life. And does it really satisfy you? And are these habits and patterns you set up really fulfilling? And anything that you've been doing to compromise, we're all compromising all the time. Maybe we wish we could paint all day and we have these genius inspirations to paint, but we have to pay the bills. And so we have a job that's maybe not so exciting. And those kinds of situations become difficult to bear. The things to do is to do any little thing you can to supplement your activity. So instead of just collapsing on the couch after a long day at work and just turning the TV on, get the paint set out. And we have other exercises, spiritual exercises, meditations, things that can be done to help you transform from within. That month is a month of digging deep within yourself, finding the things that really make you excited and make you feel free, and tapping into them. And there's all kinds of psychological exercises. Another one is to remember what you did as a child, what you love. You think about what you would do if there was not money, the things that are deep. And as you do this, you find you go through layers of finding out what's really going on inside you. And that's what's creating the stress. You're absolutely right. The energies are all benevolent. What's trying to happen that month is to pull you out of the outer world that is not fulfilling and transform yourself from within.
Very exciting. So for those of you interested in going on this journey with us next month, David and Giselle will be walking us through. They'll be our guides and giving us step-by-step process to work with this energy to transform from the inside out. And David, it would be really, really awesome. So many of our Inner Circle members actually journal. So to be able to, at least anecdotally, quantify some of the transformation that people have will be really fun to do with you, because I know you love that research angle. And also, just a reminder, if you do join the Inner Circle right now, if you're listening to this podcast in January of 2019, we have the forecast that is featuring the 13 Inner Circle astrologers for 2019. And also a bonus pack that is available to you if you join the Inner Circle during January of 2019. You'll get the bonus pack from the astrologers that we're featuring this year, plus you'll get the recordings from the forecast that's happening January 15th through the 17th. So just some little reminders there for you. If you would like to join the Inner Circle, now is a great time to do it. David, you also have a Vibrational Astrology conference coming up, an in-person conference. Can you tell us where that is, when that is, and what people will be learning at that event?
Yes, we're so excited about it. It's our very first conference. It's going to be every year. It will be an annual conference. This is the very first one. It's April 5 through 7, 2019, in Gainesville, Florida. If you're not familiar with all of Florida, it's a small city on the north side of Florida. We do have an airport here with connections from Atlanta, and they're going to start a connection from Dallas in March. So you can get here without too much trouble. So it's a Friday night, Saturday and Sunday conference. Of course, Amanda, you know about it because you're helping sponsor it. We're working together to make this conference available and get it out to people. Giselle will be there. We have 2 other speakers and myself. And on Friday night, I will explain the language of vibrational astrology. So even if you know nothing about vibrational astrology, you can come. The concepts are very simple, and you'll be able to follow all of the presentations. You'll hear from Giselle. She will give 2 lectures on what is in the charts of her clients. And when you see these patterns and what's going on and how she treats them and deals with them, It is so emotionally moving and inspiring to see that these vibrational patterns are really working through the people and that they're a practical tool for working with people. And we have other people who are advanced in vibrational astrology presenting on issues like relocational astrology, forecasting, other topics. So it's an incredible opportunity to meet people, experience it. I'm actually going to do some live mini readings to demonstrate how the interpretation process works. And we all learn about this new, exciting tool. I kind of hesitated on the word new because nothing's really new, and it's built upon the work of, a great many other people. But let's say it's a rebirth and a huge development because of all the research and application and the many dozens of people who are now using vibrational astrology in their professional practice and in their daily work. It's just exciting. The online experiences and the live experiences complement each other. So, yeah, we're really excited about it. And Amanda, you have links, I think, to the information. We have links at our websites about it.
Yes, you can find links to join the event in the show notes. And also when you click on our link to register, you'll also receive a webinar that David did about vibrational astrology for the Inner Circle last year. So you'll get a recording of that so you can immediately start to dive into the information and get yourself oriented with it. And David, if for people out there going, is this for me? Is it going to be too advanced? Is it going to be too beginner? Who is like the ideal person for this conference?
The ideal person is anybody who is open, who is inspired, who has an intuition that there's more to astrology, that there's more to life, that they're open to breakthroughs, that they're open to learning, they're open to experiencing something different from what they've experienced before. It does not matter whether you're a professional astrologer or completely new to astrology, because it's a new language. We're not using this astrology in the same way as people understand it. The experienced people and the professionals, they have a head start because they know a lot of the basic concepts that are true for all of astrology. They also have the problem that they keep falling back into their old way of thinking. So really, this conference is for anybody. We already have people coming from Japan, Italy, a few other countries in Europe. So when people get the vibrational astrology fever, they will travel halfway around the world to experience it. It's very exciting. So the main thing is that you're open and excited about breakthroughs, that breakthroughs are possible and they are happening.
I would say that probably describes everyone in our audience. And David, the pricing is really reasonable. So you guys check it out. It's going to be an amazing event. If you crave like human connection and meeting some other amazing, brilliant minds throughout the world, like David said, and really want to immerse yourself. This breakthrough in astrology, it's, when David came on to the Inner Circle and began teaching our audience about vibrational astrology, it was like a fever. It was like people just going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's one of the most tangible and accessible approaches to astrology that I've ever been exposed to. And I just think that, if you're out there, if you're curious, if you want to learn more, if you want to, if you eventually think you might want to specialize in an area of astrology that's very practical and you could work with people, in real clear ways to create shifts and changes in their life, this is a great path to go down. So David, we're really excited and honored to be co-sponsoring this. And yeah, so if you all want to check it out, you can check the link in the show notes. And again, when you register through our link, you'll receive that additional bonus webinar from David. So, and that information is only available within our Inner Circle. So you're getting access to an exclusive webinar that was done and really just blew all of our minds. So.
And Amanda, let me add one more little thing. Thank you so much for sharing all that with everyone. Is we currently, as of early December, we had 50 attendees. By January, we're expecting it's going to be up around 75 or 80. We're expecting to have about 100 attendees. We sell out at 150. And there's a possibility that this may really go viral, so to speak. So you do want to get in when you can. There is a chance that people wanting to get in the last few weeks or come in at the door won't be able to. A good chance we are going to sell out.
Absolutely. Yes. And again, you'll get to be exposed to David's work even more deeply coming up for the Inner Circle. So please join us if you're interested in joining our global community of astrology lovers. We would love to have you. Donna, is there anything that you want to ask David or say in closing?
I'm marking my calendar already for the IC month with Giselle and David, because Dave is not just one of my favorite astrologers. Giselle is too. And it is going to be epic to have the two of them together, because they both have so much heart as well as intelligence on how to live. And I think it may be one of the best months we've ever had.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, I had recommended to Amanda that we bring Giselle in, because I think she's going to be the perfect balance to me. And she has so much heart and her own kind of intelligence. She's just amazing.
Well, and for those of you interested in hearing from another one of Donna's very favorite astrologers, which, by the way, that's a high compliment for Donna to have favorites. That's amazing. And we interviewed Giselle on episode 007. So that was released a couple weeks ago. If you want to check that out, just go check episode 007 with Giselle Terry. You can hear more from her. And any of you interested in healing work or therapy or counseling or psychology, she is doing it. She's in the field with clients, and like David said, using vibrational astrology to take her work with people to a whole new level. So check out that episode. She's amazing. And David, is there anything you want to say in closing before we close out?
I just want to say one more thing about Giselle. I can't help waxing eloquent about her. She not only is she a professional psychotherapist, but she is one of the busiest psychotherapists I could imagine. Morning, evening, noon, just scheduling her for these events is difficult. She is in the trenches. When she's not doing that, she's digging through more information on vibrational astrology. She goes to all of these training programs. She knows so many areas of psychological theory and application. She's just such a committed, wonderful, heart-centered person that it brings in a balance to me, coming more in this cerebral level and developing mathematical models. With Giselle, you get the full, deep human experience, because she uses this day in and day out. She is like the queen of therapy. So she's just a perfect balance for the kind of information I can share with people.
Wow. Lucky us. We are so honored to have you two as our guides for the first official month of the Inner Circle this year. And I'm so grateful that you suggested that you two co-teach it. It's going to just be incredible. So thank you, David. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And we'll look forward to your Inner Circle month starting in just about a week from now. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Donna. God bless. Namaste. I'm looking forward to this. I'll see you then.
Okay, so hopefully you loved that as much as we did. If you love David, if you loved Giselle's episode 007, now is the time to check out the Inner Circle. Just go to astrologyhub.com/inner circle, and we are in our special New Year enrollment period. You can join now and get over $400 worth of speaker bonuses. And actually, David and Giselle are offering one of the coolest speaker bonuses, which is a personalized vibrational astrology reading or report for the months of February and March. So if you want to actually get a taste of what your vibration is for the months of March and April, when you join the Inner Circle, you will get access to that free personalized report. That is just one of 11 extra bonus gifts that you get when you join the Inner Circle now. So again, it's astrologyhub.com/2019. And we're going to be beginning the New Year forecast ceremony and self-mastery training class with David and Giselle on February 1st. So if you want to catch them, now is the time to join us. All right, everybody. So make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have our Monday forecast episode as usual, find out about the energies for the week. Then on Thursday, we are going to be releasing episode 10, which is featuring Nina Elshoff and all around the Chinese New Year. So Nina provides training and lectures and workshops in conceptual feng shui and in 9-star key astrology. So we're going to be talking about the Chinese New Year, how feng shui ties into this, and then the Chinese astrology for 2019. So make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. When you subscribe, you will get an alert on your phone when that episode is available for you to listen to. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in today, for being a part of our community, and for making astrology a part of your life. We'll catch you next week. Are you ready to learn more about astrology, take your work with the moon cycles to the next level, and experience what it feels like to be supported by a thriving community of like-minded and like-hearted souls? Then we have the place for you. Join Astrology Hub's Inner Circle, a global community dedicated to spiritual growth, lunar forecast, and mastery classes with leading astrologers. Simply go to astrologyhub.com/inner circle to learn more and join us today. Reconnect with your childlike wonder of the universe and rediscover your place and purpose in it all. Join our Inner Circle today. Visit astrologyhub.com/inner circle and get in our Inner Circle today. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Astrology Hub podcast. We can't wait to continue exploring with you and bringing you astrology's most practical wisdom so you can live your life on purpose. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Hi, this is Chris Kaplan, the producer of the Astrology Hub podcast. This episode is over, but check the show notes for links to products and services you've heard about during this episode. And if you enjoyed our show, please subscribe and rate using the subscribe button wherever you listen to your podcasts.